that's it. Now you're gonna break it.
Right? No good deed goes unpunished, right? Dan, help me out there, will you? Help me out there.
Don's got a new job now.
Someone set us up for failure on that thing.
Are you happy?
You got the cord right in front of the camera.
This is yours.
This
isn't it?
cord here?
Perfect. No.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dave's not here.
Oh, I can sign it.
Okay, so I'll cross mine off.
It doesn't matter.
Is
It's
this
just
yours?
saying that I.
No.
You should have had two there.
No,
This
just legislative.
last month and this month.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Preble Town Board meeting of June 10th, 2019. Were there any deletions, additions, or corrections from the regular minutes of our May 13th meeting?
Move the minutes be
Last
accepted.
month and this month.
A second.
I got
All in
last.
favor?
I
Aye.
did it.
All right.
I left it here tonight. Did I send them?
Jane? Dog report?
One dog adopted, one dog running at large unlicensed, and a stray cat causing destruction on Coral Drive. A bite case, a dog running at large in Song Lake area and traveled 165 miles. Justice report, May fines, $18,789.
Thanks, Jane.
And just, Jim,
Yeah.
just on that, on the control, I noticed a bite case. Usually those end up with a dangerous dog case. So nothing has been filed.
I
from that
haven't
to your
seen
knowledge.
anything.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything from that either.
Okay.
I did get a call on Sunday that there was a report of a rabid coyote on the railroad tracks over here. And so Melissa Surratt called me on this. And she said that they were calling the sheriff on it. So I don't know if you heard anything about that, Jeff, or not.
Social media, yeah.
Yeah. So haven't heard anything since.
Just rearranged the location of the 22. Just
Okay, highway report, Jeff?
Yeah, I was a little concerned after the weekend that we wouldn't get any rain, but I'm glad it came back, so we can struggle a little bit more with the mud. Couple things coming up. We're hopefully going to be finishing up on Wright Road here in the next week or so. Town hall paving. Once we're done with that, we're gonna have the excavator moved down out back here. Got some drainage tile to put in. Make sure the under draining's good out here, and then we'll carry on with that. Another thing, we had Buildings and Ground Committee meeting, and Jay will get into the painting of this building, but also discussed, walked around, I did the other day, the dugouts for the T-ball, and they're all falling in. And I thought maybe Renee would be here, but
Howdy.
I think that unless there's objection, I think those things just need to be torn down before somebody gets hurt on them. So I don't know if anybody's got a chance to look at them or you need to, but they're literally falling down. All the fencing around them is just solid rust, so it's like they're concerned some kid grab onto it, soft skin or something, end up with tetanus or something over it, because it's pretty nasty. That's up to you guys, but I keep seeing them, those T-ball dugouts, the roof's falling in.
Oh, yeah, they're dangerous. Yeah, big time.
Is that something you guys could do, Jeff, or not? I mean, no, you're in crunch time, but
Yeah, we can get them.
at some point.
Doesn't rain for a few days where the ground stays hard, where we won't make a mess. We can pull them out of there and get rid of them, but I don't even think they're worth rebuilding. So and I don't know the last time there's a T-ball team down there.
No, wrong thing.
Ron Master,
But the roof blows off and the nails are in the plywood,
Do
laying
we
on the
need a
grass.
motion down to have them tore
It's a
down? Or?
dangerous situation, I think.
So, your approval, when we can fit it in, we'll get those tore out.
Is it just part of what they would do anyway, or could do? Or do we need to give them specific authority for the highway to remove town property.
Technically, it's not, I mean, it's highway, it's not highway project, but I think we cover everything.
Yeah, that would be fine. Can't hurt.
Yeah, per resolution, I want to just go doing it.
Make a motion for highway department to tear down the 2 dugouts in the backstop.
I'll second it.
And the
Yeah,
fence,
and the
right?
fence.
And the fence.
Yeah, back on that, that's
Yeah.
rusted.
Yeah.
Be a lot easier to mow down there too.
All in favor?
Hey,
Carried. All right. Jeff, do that. You can do that, if, you know, however it fits into your schedule. Anything else?
I'm just rolling along with everybody else.
Well, we
Playing
had,
the rain,
We're gonna have Jay talk about the painting.
yes.
well, there's one thing I want to bring up about highway, about the old highway garage.
Right.
You know, we want to tear that down, right? We would like to tear it down. I guess that's open for discussion. Jeff recommends that we tear it down.
Well, what's happened is without the heat in it, the little bit of heat that was in it,
Mhm.
2 rooms in there right now are, have got black mold going up the walls.
Hmm.
As far as getting everything out of there, the rest of the stuff, that Dave Pittman and Jim, you were in the building the other day.
Mhm.
You can tell them what you saw.
yeah, it's in pretty rough shape. Yeah, and it's leaking still.
More of a
and,
liability than it's
Yes.
asset at this point.
yeah, and the roof's, starting to fall in, and it's in bad shape.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jeff and I were talking this morning, and we were just kind of bantering around the idea of tearing it down. And Don, we want to run that by you. Is there a procedure for tearing down a building and disposing of it? Jeff knows an example that it didn't go too well for, who was it, Kyler?
Town of Kyler, remember that, Don? The old Newcomb property where the fire station sits now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the fire district fire department.
well, it was still.
Fortunately, I was not involved with
lucked
that.
out on that.
Afterwards, I was involved to some extent, but not during.
Okay.
But okay, so we've got a surplus building that's falling apart. I mean, is that something that you guys would do on your? We'd hire it out, right? So it's a question of, you know, budget. We budgeted for it, and you know, I mean, I don't know what the cost would be if it's. I assume it's less than the amount needed for a competitive bid. We just need to follow through with our own bid policy as far as getting someone in to do the work. So it's a matter of where your funds would come from, if it's current funds or not. And then second, as far as procedure to get, you know, to make sure you got a good bid.
Right. Right.
And we follow our purchasing policy.
Mhm.
Do we want to save those doors?
I think there's things you could get out of it that are, put them on like Auctions International or something.
They're pretty
Get
good
some
shape.
return out of it, had some windows, but
Oh,
the rest of it, we were up on Kevin and I were up on the roof the other day, and that's, I crawled across it first time. Cause there's some spots that were like, okay.
A little spongy.
A little bit, and put some patch down just to get the worst of it. There's still a couple of drips here and there, but well, it's about a month ago. But there's no hurry in that regard. But because that anybody noticed, that's why I left the paving. We stopped off of Preble Road short. The county's supposed to be paving Tisco Valley Road, and didn't want to come to a head, and then county's not really good in tying stuff in, and I wanted to tie that in, make it decent, and put like a turn lane off of a Tisco Valley Road onto it and get it properly signed. Because, technically you're going to that stop sign and doing a hard U to go back to head north or a little bit to the south. There's no signage. Just a highway school last week, and there's FHWA, they've come out with all new regulations on curve, and stop signs came out a few years ago, but the curve signs by October have to be all up to snuff, or there's a amount of liability that we would incur if they're not. And to that end, we're in really good shape. There are some towns not far from here that are in terrible shape as far as their signage goes, but we're not doing too bad there. Nothing personal, Tom. It's a lawyer happy world.
Yes, it is.
So, but anyways, back to the building. I would encourage, if anybody wants to go up and look at it, might be better just so you've seen it and have your own opinions, or anybody else wants to have a look.
And that's just thinking about it too. Does the town have a future planned use for that property, or is it something where the property itself is surplus? And so you would be thinking of possibly selling it? And if so, do you have someone look at it to confirm that it would be worth more without the building there than with it there? Because if you got some input, I mean, first things first, if there's, if it's not in your future plans, you know, could that affect just knocking it down, deciding to knock it down? In other words, would it be worth something to someone?
To be put on the tax rolls if somebody wanted to.
Is there even a half an acre there, a quarter of an acre? I mean, you got the cemetery that borders it, and then the house there. I mean, actually, the house would be the only one that would be any useful for. Especially if you put a turn lane in, then you're going to take actually more of that anyways.
That's where that comes into play, is laying out the turn lane.
That will take most of it.
We'll come across a chunk in front of that. That's going to get built up too.
So it's probably not useful property to anybody after we put the turn lane in. I mean,
It's,
and if it was, it would just be useful to extend somebody's lot.
yeah, it'd be, often, I'm not into the zoning and stuff, but it's by itself, it's a non-conforming lot, what I understand.
Right,
It's
right.
given all the right of ways. So, something to chew on, I think. No
Do
hurry per se.
Do we run any risk of somebody trespassing and, you know, getting injured or whatever, getting sick? I mean, well, I understand that there's no sense of urgency from kind of, you know, it's not harming us as the town. You know, the worse it gets, the more potential liability there is in terms of somebody trespassing. And so I don't know what's your, and you know, since you're not in it, you know, the longer you're not in it, the longer it's abandoned, the more likely or more opportunity for somebody to do that.
Not only that, and the more opportunity the mold has to grow, and maybe costing you more in the long run to have it, you know,
Right.
have a specialist come in,
Yeah.
because there is
Yeah.
extensive
Yeah,
black
exactly.
mold.
Yeah, I mean,
I also think of NYMER doing their inventory inspection. I think they do it in the fall. They come around and they look at
They
our
just
buildings.
did.
They just did.
You didn't get a letter yet?
Not yet. No.
A man and his assistant, he's burning up a pen. I know that.
Okay.
When we went and looked at everything.
So she looked at that building too, and
They went and looked at it without me,
okay.
supposedly, because I
Yeah.
asked them what else they wanted
Yeah.
to see. Brought them here. On the park.
Yeah. NYMER might have a suggestion for us
That
about that building.
this building, they had quite a few things they wanted to see changed for active exit lights, active emergency lighting. They said, "Do you have any meetings at night here?" Yep. Okay. Needs this, this, and this to conform with. Okay, well, put it in the letter.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so they might have an opinion on that building. It's better that we, you know, we'll see what they come up with. And
well, but I mean, it sounds like, you know, it's just really a matter of kind of figuring out how to get the work scheduled to get it done. That the
Mhm.
property's not really going to be worth anything to sell. Or if there's some sliver of it that somebody would find value in, we could entertain offers, but
Mhm.
I don't think it's worth our while to make a marketing effort or promote it or
No, I
whatever.
don't either.
So I mean, I guess I would just encourage us to go ahead and start getting quotes and figuring out the budget and start to figure that out so that within the next month or two, we could make a decision on it. As opposed to, again, I'm just more concerned that some kid's gonna wander in there or whatever.
Yeah, no activity down there other than
Yeah,
whoever's
exactly.
gonna
Right.
mischief.
Who would be a potential contractor to do the work if you're talking about knocking it down?
Antennas, you want to at least get an estimate from, and then maybe go from there.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If you had a ballpark,
Right.
then you know what level of solicitation you have to follow through on your
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
policy.
Yeah, it's
Then
just
you
like,
could go ahead and pursue
yeah, let's
and meet that, and then you'd have something before you to act on.
let's just get the process started, I guess is what I'm.
Because we're probably paying insurance on that and everything. Insurance.
Well, it's
bills,
included in the NYMER
In the-
insurance package.
and
Yeah.
that's what you wanted
Yeah.
to talk with them
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
And if NYMER just went around with Jeff to do an inventory, then they're going to come back and say, you've got an abandoned building. We don't want you to have an abandoned building, and this is what you want. I mean, they're going to give us instructions on what they would like us to do.
Another option too is I suppose you could make a determination that it's surplus property. You might approach the neighbor.
The neighbor?
Well,
There
is there,
Because it adjoins the cemetery, so it's not.
well, I thought there was some reference to an adjoining owner or something.
There is Dave Griswold owns that ranch there that his daughter's living in.
Yeah.
She's called me a couple of times wanting to turn it into a dog kennel or something like that.
Well, again, that is if you determine it's surplus property, again, if you follow your policy, you could solicit, purchasers, and then you could then make a determination to sell.
I think we could only sell it as is, right?
Oh, yeah. What would we do with it? I mean,
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, if you sold it as is, you're not liable for anything.
Well, you'd have to make full disclosure.
Right.
You come and inspect.
we don't know what's been leaking in that floor for 50 years. Or, I mean,
We do know we had a fuel leak down there, but that's all come back
That's-
good so
yeah,
far.
That's taken,
So
that's taken care of.
Talk to Dave, see if he's interested in it. If it's anything,
right,
right.
right.
As it sets.
Well, I mean, you could talk to Dave, see if he's interested, see if he has a comment on it at all. And then you could also call Contento and
this is what it's gonna cost to tear it
ask him to
down.
come down and take a look at it, what it's going to cost to tear it down.
And I go
call-
back to
call-
when I can get this, like I said, I've been swamped with other stuff to figure out liability wise, okay, and back to the building, okay. My point is that you have an improper intersection. If there's an accident there, that's my concern right now, is from my shoes. If getting that to be a proper intersection with the dimensions and everything and proper signage is my priority. And if we can do that and they can still use the building as such with 18 feet in front of the doors or something, that's one thing, but I just don't want it to come back and bite us. We don't put a proper intersection in there, somebody gets hurt or killed. We had somebody drive into that building 12 or 14 years ago. And not that was the root cause then, but without proper signage, they are getting sticky. The last few years, signage, retroreflective distances between markings have gotten, that's the hot button topic right now. And we need to, get with the county and send an engineer up and lay out what would be a proper intersection for that. And then see where we're at with it, because that's what's gonna bite this town more than that building. allowing an improper intersection to stay there.
But we still have to deal with the building in some way.
Well, yeah.
We have to
but
make a
that-
decision.
That leans, how that lays out
Yeah.
may lean one way or the other. So,
Guess get your quotes and see if Dave's interested. I mean, I'm not really in favor of that. I'm more in favor of having it knocked down, and then you can do that turn as needed.
What's involved about getting the laid out for the intersection? Is that
have to have county engineers.
county
come up
engineer
and
come up and
lay it out and see what the average speed for that curve is, which isn't necessarily the posted speed. Then there's a formula they have that's over my head, but it all has to do with what the average vehicle travels that curve at.
I really don't want to sell the property and then
So
have
we
to come
probably-
back with eminent domain to.
You probably have to have that first before you could say it was surplus to sell. Because maybe with the intersection laid
Yeah.
out, it wouldn't be
What's left here? Here it is.
viable
Do you want it?
property.
Okay. So if you can,
I'll talk to Dave, I'll talk to the county, see if we can, come up with some rough measurements for that.
talk to Contento too.
I'll get an estimate for you for
Okay.
that.
We can talk about it next month. Okay. Anything else, Jeff?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, thanks. Okay, recreation. Nobody here. County legislature. No.
Hank's
Oh,
here.
Hank is here. Okay, rec. You're the
How
rec
you like
guy.
that new mow job I got out there?
Yeah,
Isn't that nice?
back to the Cadillac
I
again.
finished off behind Smitty all the way at the corn lot today. Looks nice. Yeah,
Before the rain.
Yeah.
How's that mower work,
Can't
Hank?
keep having it. My God.
How's that mower work?
Good. Yeah, real nice.
For my comment, it doesn't use any fuel.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it. Doesn't seem to use any fuel. It's diesel. And it hardly put any in.
Mhm.
It's good.
Do you have
So
anything?
far, so good.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any,
And I weed eated all the fence, if you
Mhm.
noticed,
mhm.
all the way around
Looks good.
the ball field, the big ball field.
That took more gas than the mower?
Huh?
That took more gas than the mower?
Probably. Thanks, Hank.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay. County legislator Don Boyden is not here. Jane?
Zoning and code, 5 building permits issued, 90 miles traveled for the town, 9 building inspections, 47 hours worked, 1 fire inspection, 4 complaint follow-ups, 27 telephone inquiries. Planning board meeting is June 26th at 7 o'clock. ZBA, July 4th, but they say they don't know if they'll even have a meeting, so
They do have a meeting. It's not going to be on July 4th.
that's right.
Okay. Thanks, Jane. Historian.
As he ducked
Okay,
out.
okay. We'll get back to Jay. Jane, you can go ahead.
Oh, here he comes.
Okay, you're up.
Am I up?
You're up.
Cool. After our last meeting, I was asked to get some quotes for painting town hall here. I know John Morgan painted it the last time, so he was the first person I approached to see if he was interested in it, putting in a bid. He gratefully bowed out. He says no, says I'm more into doing my family and different things. He did recommend a guy out of Lafayette, Syracuse area by the name of Donald C. Lover. I got a quote from him. I talked to Meldrums. They recommended 2 gentlemen out of Cortland, and I got quotes out of them. I talked to, here's their quotes. I talked to the references. And the 2 gentlemen out of Syracuse or out of Cortland came highly suggested. Don's reference also. And then I took it before the committee. We talked about it. We threw around a bunch of different ideas. We talked about prevailing wage and all that stuff. 2 gentlemen said that they had to do prevailing wage out of Cortland that they gracefully bow out because they didn't want to have to deal with that. So Don is a sole owner, worker type business. He works by himself. So looking at the quotes there, I went through them. That's the beast of my employment. You know, I deal with painting, sheetrocking, and building construction and all that stuff. So looking over the quotes, Don Sealover was had the most thorough quote. As far as what he was going to do. The other two, basically it was patch, prime, and paint. The buildings and ground committee came together. We talked about it, and I guess if you guys want to chime in a little bit, we would recommend to the town board that Don Sealover, if the board so chooses to have the building painted at this time, that's who we would recommend. One of the things that we talked about was a cupola up top. Back in 2010, I think it was, when we had the solar panels put on. I know that the building was painted prior to that. I found these pictures when I was going through some of the pictures there. It was in pretty rough shape then. Basically, the way I left it with the contractors is that we know it may be in rough shape, and we're going to leave it. You're going to tell us what kind of shape it's in today, since it was in that rough shape back then, so that we can plan accordingly for that. So.
Yeah, I think we looked at the three quotes, and while one of the quotes from Cortland was going to drop out, the other guy we were going to have to get them to rebid to go with the prevailing wage. Excuse me. And I think we concluded, though, just kind of looking at the initial quotes, that the prices were close enough, but that Don Sealover seemed to have the most thorough approach to redoing the building. And we felt that the price difference wasn't that significant, that it was worth trying to go for a lower price. So that, I think we all recommended that we go with Sealover.
So we were talking, Jay, we were originally talking about doing the belfry, right? About fixing that and making that sturdy again, operable.
Right. Yeah.
So did that turn into a painting job? So I remember we first started, we talked about the belfry.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just wondering how repairing the belfry morphed into painting the building.
Oh, okay. That's maybe my misunderstanding.
No,
of that.
that's okay.
So,
But we can talk about all of it.
yeah, I mean, because we have no way of getting up there to see what the belfry even looks like. So.
There would be probably a different contractor fixing the belfry than painting the building.
Absolutely.
Right. Jeff approached me in the spring and said that the belfry was in really bad condition, that that should be one of our priorities, was taking care of that. So Jeff, do you have a comment on this topic about painting and fixing?
I'll throw this out, and I think how this kind of got into where it is there's multiple, and that's not in one spot. All over the building, there's cedar shake shingles that have come off, and they're peeling back quite a bit on the back. And building itself, other than the cedar shakes, is But if you look at the trim on the building, a lot of the paint's right down to the wood on the trim right now. And so I think that's how it probably got into that. And I'll go back. Now I feel old, but back before the solar panels were put on, Nash Brothers came in, and I couldn't find paperwork on it, but they came in and they gave a estimate on pulling the belfry off, and they said that there was nothing really to save. They could make one just like it, form one just like it, but it's all pithy. It's not really a lot to it. And also I think they said this is going back 9 or 10 years anyways.
In 1993, when it was painted, it was in poor condition. You could put your fist straight through almost anything. It's 25 years ago. Don Wright painted it and Dick Martin. So it's not any better now than it was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was the right, Jeff is right, that someone needs a crane to get up there, pull that off, rebuild it, reset it, set the joists on that. It's very poor.
If I remember right, from 10-ish years ago, the Nash brothers gave a number of a little over $8,000.
Mhm.
Basically, make a replica of it,
Mhm.
trash what's there, and also,
Right.
I think it was a pulley on the bell or something. They're going to fix it so the bell would ring.
Bill hasn't rained for decades, but you're right, Jeff. That's
It'd be the time to do it.
Mhm.
You need someone with a crane that can come up on top and replace the whole thing, take the bell off. And it is in very poor condition.
So I would think we want to fix that before we paint, right?
You paint it, but paint won't stick.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know where we're at
Okay, so,
with Gina and like that
Yeah.
dollar wise either, as far as.
well, we have money that we set aside for this building every year, about $35,000 every year. So, we do have money, but of course, we're
I was
doing
gonna say, you're gonna be
the parking lot too,
parking lots.
The driveway.
already-
So, maybe we can go back to Nash Brothers and ask them to maybe revise that quote that they sent us and give us another quote on that. 'Cause I would think we want to fix the belfry before we paint.
Minimally, you're gonna have to at least get the cedar shakes on there and do an initial coat of paint over them, I would think, before winter comes.
Right,
Even if it's a touch-up job,
right.
Some kids
Like-
some kids.
just going back 3 or 4 years, there's 1 or 2 missing here or there, and this last winter, a bunch of them dropped off, most of them right on the back.
Mhm.
That south faces, the sun beats the heck out of them, and they burn them, and they drop.
Is the painting quote part of replacing the missing shingles and stuff?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah. What's the cost on that?
Well, the total was 15,000.
15.
Yeah, for the entire job. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't break out tasks.
Mhm.
But I read through it, and that one includes doing all the walk-through doors, every soup to nails, soup to nuts. The other thing, if you look when you go out, if it's not too dark, but right up over the yard light that's attached to the building, there's a line of cedar shakes in there that are all bent over too, that would need to be replaced, because that's gonna start being a water entry problem.
Mhm.
There's a lot of
Well,
them on
well,
the
so-
back side that are-
So it seems to me that we're gonna want to do both projects regardless, right?
Mhm.
So then it's a matter of, do we need to do one before the other? I mean, if we want to do both, and we need to get painting done before the winter, it seems to me that we want to at least get this guy scheduled for the painting.
Right. And at least, he can tell us what's going on up there.
Well,
He's
I'm
gonna
just
do
saying,
that.
get on his radar while we get the quote
Right.
for the belfry. And then get those two guys to talk and see if one needs to go first before the other.
And the other possibility, and this is a little outside my wheelhouse, but is get the belfry removed and covered, because it's gonna be a while. You might
Right.
have to put some kind of, and then have it ready to put back, have
Mhm.
rebuild it, and put it back in the spring or something.
So do
That
the
process.
belfry in 2 phases, you're saying? Kind of take it off,
Take it off and
go off,
then
rebuild,
let
and
'em
in the
make
meantime,
it
we're
as a winter
painting.
project
Yeah.
or something for them. Maybe if they didn't have a gun to their head to get it done, it'd get a little better price too.
Mhm.
But you're gonna have to put something on it anyway, some kind of, ice and water shield or something to protect that area while the belfry's off.
Mhm.
But
So we got the paving now, part of the
Right.
the budget, the paving and the painting and the belfry.
Right.
So the paving, you wanted to you get that done this year. You wanted to get that,
it'd been started,
it's been
been
started.
digging out by now,
Yeah.
it quit raining, but
Mhm.
got held up on the other job. But
So that's gonna happen this year.
Well, you can certainly try and get a quote for the belfry work.
We can,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm good.
So we can get a quote for it and, see what, if they can revise their quote from 10 years ago and say,
That was a total rebuild anyway. At that time, it was
Mhm.
brand new, not fixing it. It was, if I remember right. I wish I could find it, but
right.
probably in that file cabinet that got wet.
Oh, we should have enough money in the budget to do the painting and the parking lot, and then if we do the belfry, like we say, take it off, that will come out of next year's
Mhm.
budget.
Could do it that way, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just assume us try and get, like I said, I mean, these painters with the weather, they're all gonna get jammed up, right? And Getting on
Locked in.
somebody's schedule is gonna be a challenge. I'm not saying that we, have them committed to a specific date until we get it done, but at least get it in his queue. It seems to me is,
Get it on their work list.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I'd move that we go ahead and authorize Jim to sign a contract with Don Seelove to do the painting, pending the schedule that we figure out with the belfry.
Yeah, I agree.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah.
Carried. Okay, and Jeff, you'll talk to Nash Brothers and see if they can give us some kind of,
Jay and I will talk to the Nash brothers.
okay, all right. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Jay, historian, is there anything,
Sorry.
okay, why don't you continue with your, we got off track of your
That's
speech
okay.
there, go ahead.
That's okay. Things are moving along pretty good. I did start a Facebook page a couple months ago. I got like 500 followers or something like that now. And I love it that people are chiming in when I post stuff. I don't have all the answers to everything going on around town over the last 100 years, and people are chiming in on different things and helping out. As far as out back here, slowly getting organized. I don't know if I told you last month or not, that the way I want to get it set up is so that if a 10-year-old goes back there and says, I want to find something from, the milk plant, they can just go in there, look, see where the files are and pull out the milk plant files. So you're more than welcome to stop back and check out anytime.
Have you had a chance to talk to Ann Henderson?
I did. I spent 2.5 hours with her a month or so ago.
Oh, good.
So yeah, and that's the other thing I've been doing. I've been going around talking to the elders in town. And I spent 3 hours at Larry Nye's last Monday night, reminiscing with him. And he shared his photos and stories with me and different things like that. And I've got a list of probably a dozen people that I've chatted with over the course of the last couple months. Hank's on my list too.
You're coming to my house.
But that's all I got.
We got plenty of pictures over there.
Okay, good. Thanks, Jay.
No problem.
Jane?
We collected $476, dispersed $436.50 to the town of Preble, $22.50 to New York State Health Department, and $17 to New York State Egg and Markets. Tax collector, the taxes will be returned to the treasurer's office tomorrow.
Thanks, Jane. Unfinished business, we have the ongoing Time Warner Cable 10-year contract topic. Don, is anything you can comment on this?
None other than I see the emails going back and forth, and it doesn't seem like we're gonna get there too quick. And
So I mean, I think my next step, frankly, is to escalate to the state broadband program project and see if they can get us something, or go to the guys that negotiated the settlement agreement with Time Warner, and get them to get us some information, or at least shake up Spectrum a little bit and say, hey, respond to these guys. I don't know, what do you think of that? I mean,
I think that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
It's, I think we're out of this, even if you recall, when we first contacted them, we thought we were out of the 10 years. Then they said, well, it didn't start till it was approved by the state Public Service Commission, I believe. And I think we're beyond that date. So I don't know
What they're doing.
what they're doing. They don't seem to show any urgency whatsoever.
Right. Okay.
So, I mean, if you want me to reach out to somebody, I can, or if you want
I'll send some preliminary emails and try and keep it not in the formal, our lawyer is
That's
now
fine.
contacting
to,
you.
that's fine with me.
Until, well,
I
we'll
got-
save you,
I
we'll
got-
save you
I
for
got-
later.
I got plenty of emails.
We'll
to
save the
deal with.
hammer for later. How's that?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Next item is the Ed Benedy situation. Rick Fritz and I stopped over there at noon today, and they have a shed that they built. They had someone build and brought it in, and all the stuff is in the shed. And Rick told them they were good to go. So, and we reminded them that we have this open judgment on them. What do you call it, Don?
It's a restraining order, permanent injunction.
Permanent injunction.
Injunction.
Right. That we can activate this at any time in the future. And he understood that. He knew. And he seemed like he was making his best effort to get everything contained into that shed. And Rick was satisfied with it. So I think that at this point, we're done with the Ed Benedy situation. We can cross him off of our agenda list.
He's
for
also
the
got a
future.
tractor and a wagon up by the road now too. I mean, at what point does that come back down there? And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it looks 100% better, but you still drive by it and
Yeah.
yeah.
You can make an offer, kid.
Yeah.
Park it in front
I
of
think
your
the
house.
plow goes with the tractor. I think.
Park it in front
They're
of your
throwing it
house.
in.
Right.
All right, next.
I mean, just a ballpark. I mean, I'm sure we could go back through and do a detailed accounting, but I mean, ballpark, how much did it cost the town to pursue this? Like 10,000?
I was going to say 6 or 7,
Okay.
but
Mhm.
Could be as high.
And not counting, that's not counting Rick's time and all that stuff.
that's right.
Right. That's just the kind of legal process.
Legal fee
Yeah.
for time spent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Rick is also working on other things like collapsed barns. He goes to a barn owner whose barn is collapsed. Says, can you please fix it up? Like tear it down or do something with it. And the person says, well, what about the lady down the road? She's got a collapsed barn too. So the lady down the road has taken down her barn and she's hauling it away. And so now Rick needs to go to the other barn owners and say, see, she's doing her job. You have to do your job. So he's getting around to all these people who want to keep postponing him. And other people know Rick's schedule and they're always out of town on Mondays. So Rick knows these games are being played against him, but he's doing a good job for us.
See, the Morgan property was mowed this week.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
Well, that's another
Little
one
bit
that I
better
talked to him
plus,
about. It's the
but yeah.
Morgan property on the corner.
Yeah.
He tells me that John and the family are, I guess, working on it, but we're gonna have to see something pretty soon.
Mhm.
So anyway, there's no new business this month unless anybody has something they want to talk about.
Yeah, so I want to bring up, during the Memorial Day parade, it became, I had observed this before, but we don't have any sort of a plaque on the boulder dedicated to our veterans from post-Second World War to today. And so I'd like us to start a process, and Jay, maybe as historian, you can be part of it, to put up a couple of plaques on the boulder. We've got 2 more sides that if we wanted to put up 4 plaques, 1 on each side, that to honor those veterans. So, I'd like us to get it on our radar. I can start developing some quotes for the materials and so forth so that we could get it into our budget process. I mean, again, this isn't something that we've got to do tomorrow, but, I first thought about this a year ago at Memorial Day, and, a year went by and I didn't do anything. So kick myself for that. But,
Mhm.
you know, I think if you guys agree with this, I think it's something that the town ought to do. I think we do a great job of commemorating Memorial Day and commemorating our veterans and respecting them. And I'd like to continue that. I think doing matching plaques or similar plaques to what we did for the First and Second World War vets is really important.
Mhm.
So it's not nothing to make a motion on, but I'd like to get it on everybody's radars,
Okay.
and I'll start bringing it up at future meetings.
Okay.
I'd like to say something to Jim.
Mhm.
I think you had one hell of a speaker this year.
Oh, Dave Ames did a great
Oh,
job.
yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
He was there when it happened, and he knew how to put it to us.
Well,
Present
unlike
that
some of
presentation.
our other speakers who never served, they're just talking about Memorial Day. You know, he actually went to Vietnam and he was recounting some of his experience and his feelings about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a great job.
That was a great day.
Mhm.
Best one we've had in quite a while.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we had a good turnout too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
People. Yeah.
And on that note too, I think we should send the Tully School a thank you card for.
I already did that.
You did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The sheriff's and then Dave Ames's
Mhm.
group too.
Yeah, I sent something to
Okay.
Dave too. Yep. Yep.
Great.
Well, we received some money this month. We received $4,555.79 in mortgage tax, which you should have a copy of the mortgage tax distribution for the county. We received $9,155.77 from the highway, from the county for our highway department.
Hmm.
We received $1,771.89 from Northeast Transformers and $741.92 from USPS. At this point, I'd like to open the meeting up to public comments or questions. If anybody has any topic they want to talk about. Pete?
Jim, I'd like to make a comment. I think Jay is going to do a great job as historian. I've talked to him a couple of times when I had a chance, but I noticed in last month's newsletter that he's taking over from Ann, and Ann is a generation away from when she served as supervisor. She may have been the best supervisor, at least one that this town has ever had. I could go on for 20 minutes about what she did. She set the table for the next 5, including you and I, Jim.
Mhm.
And if anybody in this town is worthy of a special recognition, a special day, she is. And I have some ideas. And the first one regards Jeff, and it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned, but there's 3 sections of Clark Road because of the construction of 281 and 81. The east side of Clark Road is bordered by the Henderson farm almost entirely. And that farm has been set up into the farmland preservation and won't be developed. I think, and it would create eliminate a lot of confusion on emergency calls if that section of Clark Road was renamed Henderson Road. It is practical and it would be something that the family would really appreciate. And secondly, I would like to suggest a couple of options that the town board could do. One would be in August, perhaps they could hold the town board meeting at the park and designate that night as a special night for Ann. And perhaps you could have light refreshments afterwards and have Ann and her family and as many friends as you would like to come. And with a proper thank you to her. Another thing you could do is get a letter of appreciation from Senator Seward. Better still have Senator Seward come himself. Now the other option to the town board meeting being held at the park would be something that Ann always liked. When she had the historical meeting, she would bring a dish to pass and everybody would come to the park, and it was really fun, and she could really put on a nice presentation. She did it every 5 years with no plan. She did it with some of the historic houses in town and a lot of presentations she made. She likes that. So if you weren't interested in doing it at the same time as a town board meeting, perhaps a Saturday afternoon in August, you could reserve the park and hold a special event for her and invite her, the family, past town board members that served with her. I really think she is deserving of a very special event. She's a very special person in this town, and like I said, the younger generation has no recollection of her term. I can tell you some of the things that she did. She went through gravel mining, just like I did. And when you're supervisor, that's double the work of your workload. I was lucky when I went through it. I had Don Armstrong to guide me legally and the board, and we had all her blueprints of the people that she contacted when she went through it, which made it a little bit easier. But I can tell you that nobody has any idea what that's like to go through that, and she did stop it. And some of you might remember the rock concert proposal in town, also happening during her term. She took this building when it was nothing but cobwebs and crumbling mortar and made a post office and a community-friendly town hall and all that while still serving as supervisor. And she did much, much more. I could make a nice presentation, but in the interest of time, my point here is that she needs some special thank you. And I would consider, Jim, you being in charge of that and getting something rolling. There is an urgency here. It should be done when Ann can appreciate it, and her health is, like all of us, we're getting along. And so to set August as a target date would be a good thing to do, whether you like the idea of a town board meeting at the park and inviting people, or having a special Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon at the park for her.
Maybe we can get the old timers to play a band for it.
It should be a very special event. I can't emphasize enough how much she's done for this town.
Do we know if there's any Saturdays open, first off?
Well, that would be your job, the town board's job. I would suspect that there would be either a Saturday or Sunday in August available. That's step one. But it includes a lot of work, but certainly she deserves that. The town would be grateful to have something like that happen, and it would be good for the community. The road change thing should happen regardless. Now, when we changed Albert Drive to Patriot Drive, when Supco relocated, it's not quite as simple as just ordering a sign and going down and sticking it on a pole. There's a procedure there that Don's aware of. It takes some time to do. Might not be able to do that. August might be a little aggressive, but you could still order the sign and get that done. I think I would do.
And I'll just toss out, the only thing that the Dan Deneen frowns on, is there any other Henderson roads in Cortland County?
That's
That's the first thing it's gonna get asked, and as long as there isn't, I see a green light, but
there's
there
a
is.
whole procedure to go through, more than that. The post office has to be involved. There's a procedure to it that Don did when we changed Albert Drive or Alfred or whatever it was to Patriot Drive. There was no residence there, so the post office it didn't involve. But this one might, because there's two residents on that road. I don't know. I've talked with several people over the last couple of weeks there, and talked with anybody that thinks that's a bad idea. In fact, everyone would like to do something for Annie. Something far more just a thank you note. Something special.
Okay.
So
thanks for bringing that up.
I would leave that in your court, Jim.
Okay. Thanks, Pete. Thanks for coming in and mentioning that.
You well received.
Yeah, we don't have much time. This is June. And if we do something in August, It gives us 2 months to put something together.
So that's doable. It's
Mm.
aggressive.
Yeah, it's
I'm not
doable.
sure about
Mhm.
the sign is, as I said, I know the procedure we went through.
Mm-hmm.
You can still print a sign up and have it available. I can't fathom any objection to that. But there is a procedure. You also have to give everybody a comment period. I think that would be done.
You know, I'm not sure, Peter.
It was
It's been a
simpler to
couple of
do
years
that.
now, but yeah. So I'll certainly get right on and find out.
Here's the August calendar.
Oh. So it looks like all, well,
24th.
24th, Saturday the 24th would be available. How
I'm
about,
just looking at the calendar. It's actually pretty blocked up.
how about coordinating something with the Alzheimer's band? We can create an event. If they're going to come and perform, we can do some kind of ceremony and award for Anne before they play. We could build something into that evening.
I think it'd be a good idea. I think if you could have it would mean a lot to her to have, there'll be people that would like to come and say something,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we'll let people speak. Yeah.
not just a presentation thing.
Oh no,
Special day.
we can
And that-
let
She always liked the old timers band.
Right.
It's a good idea.
right.
When
But
they-
those dates that I'm not aware of.
And but by building it into that date, there's already a date set on the calendar that people are going to be there. So I think it would be good to coordinate it with that event.
That's less than 2 months because that's August 6th.
Oh, yeah.
August 6th. Okay.
Is that the town kind of,
It's the night they have the old timers band.
and set up the days when they had kind of a town picnic down there on the highway garage and the fire station. And brought the trucks down.
Mhm.
That's not that date, right?
No, it's a Tuesday night. Not even a weekend. You better get people to talk cars that night.
It would mean a lot to her.
Mm-hmm.
She also has 4 kids that very special to them too.
Mhm.
So that's something that needs to be done.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
August 8th,
August 8th is the Old Timers
I
Band.
think. Yeah,
And what
yeah.
Um,
Thursday, August 8th.
Thursday?
6:30. At least that's what's on the calendar.
Okay. Well, if we could start earlier, like if we could set something up maybe at 5:30 and have people come that we send invitations out to, people that can speak about the days of Ann Henderson and talk about those stories.
well, perhaps, Jay's in a good spot there too. There's a lot of information there that perhaps he could have a small display there of things that happened when she.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
You mentioned in the newsletter that she started in 2000. Technically, she did a lot of work with Dorothy the 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 years before that. And then prior to that, when we made the vault, she came down with Jean Martin and Dorothy and purged. You wouldn't believe the condition of the records that got put into that vault. They were just came from attics and in cardboard boxes. And,
Still getting those today.
yeah.
It was over in a pile in the corner when I was
It was.
highway superintendent.
Yeah, it was quite a job. She did a lot of help with that. And so actually, she helped Dorothy prior to that. She did. I don't want to take up a lot of time. She just did when she was supervisor. She was unbelievable.
Okay. Okay, we will do what we can to put something together. That would be nice. Yeah. And I agree totally, Peter, with what you're saying. She deserves recognition. And the family too. Does anybody else have any comments or questions for tonight? Need a motion to adjourn? Okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Okay, we need a motion to pay the general fund vouchers.
Make a motion to pay general fund vouchers, abstracts number 6, numbers 112 to 138, totaling $5,104.92.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers.
I make a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers abstract number 6, numbers 55 through to 62, totaling $18,225.41.
Second,
All in favor?
I have a motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, do you want to put these with the minutes?
I will. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime.